Now, what I'm going to share with you is going to make you look at retirement in a whole new way. And I'm also going to share with you the many mistakes that people make. And this is the stuff that they just don't teach you in school, and you certainly won't learn it in a book. Now, many people imagine retirement as a time of relaxation and leisure, but the reality is it can be a totally opposite experience. So this video explores the unexpected aspects of retirement, everything from navigating new social circles to managing finances to adjusting to that slower pace of life, and many other issues that you may not even have thought about. Now, the comments on my previous videos have been insane, and all the contents in this video come directly from what people who have retired have told me about this stuff. So I want you to avoid these pitfalls that are costly. There's a sucker born every minute. Don't be a sucker. Number one is managing finances. Well, we all know this, but look, retirement planning is more than just saving a pile of money. You've got to know exactly how to make it last and how to stretch it. And trust me, after seeing what I've seen in my career, you don't want to mess this part up. Look, inflation is always going to be a concern in retirement because your money is usually fixed and because money just doesn't go as far as it used to. Now, everything is going up. Healthcare, home repairs, property taxes, even groceries. You need to know how to stretch a buck or to overcompensate. Now, I know people who thought that they had more than enough money saved, but 10 years later, they end up cutting back on everything because your money just didn't keep up with inflation. And the other big question is when to retire question. And some retirees, they say, oh, I should have retired earlier. And you also hear other people saying, oh, I should have just kept working. But the reality is, no matter how much money you save, you never know how much time you have left. Now, I've heard stories from people who've saved their whole entire life, and they spend their whole retirement staring at the ceiling in a hospital bed. In the meantime, others retire early. They run out of money, or they have to go back to work at 75 years old. So let's talk about that for just a moment. First off, healthcare tends to be a money pit. I mean, even with Medicare, you've got co-pays, prescriptions, dental work, and God forbid, long-term care. And assisted living can quickly run you $50,000 plus a year. So memory care, it can completely wipe out the average retirees. And most people are not retired for that. Now, secondly, home maintenance can drain your savings faster than you think if you choose the wrong place in retirement. If you stay put in that town or city or living in a house that you should have moved from. A new roof, $10,000, $20,000, a busted HVAC, another $7,000. If you got plumbing issues or electrical repairs and yard maintenance, it goes on and never ends, especially if you're living in an older house. These expenses will happen. And that's why downsizing is crucial, but doing it at the right time and when you need it. When is the right time? It's not too early and it's not too late, right? Also, downsizing, you got to realize, frees up cash and it lowers your expenses during retirement. And this is your time. So if you wait too long, it'll become a burden instead of a choice. And you don't want to be dealing with stairs and maintenance issues when you're 80. You know, some people, they tell me they have regrets that they should have done it, but waited too long and now they're too old, and you don't want to have regrets. Number two is the slowdown, the adjusting to this new lifestyle. So you need a purpose. You need to stay happy in retirement. But that's a huge shift from when you were young. When you were young, the idea of staying in bed all day and binge watching Netflix and playing video games, it's a dream. But in retirement, it doesn't work the same way. And that's why some people in retirement, it comes with a shock. You know, the first few months of retirement are all sunshine and roses. Feels like a vacation. No alarm clock, no stress. Maybe a couple really nice vacations or completing home projects. But then reality sets in. You wake up, there's not much to do. So think about it. You spent 40 years running the show, making deals and working hard, whatever you did. But now you're sitting on the couch, you're flipping channels all day. That's not retirement. This is what they tell me. That's God's waiting room. Look, you can have money and still be miserable, but you need to have a plan on how you're going to spend your days. Now, the worst part of this is if you don't stay engaged. Your mind and your body, it will start to slow down pretty quick. I've seen it firsthand. People retire, they're full of energy, and within just a few years, they're physically weaker, mentally slower, and they're stuck in this cycle of boredom. Don't have that regret. Find a hobby, not just something that sounds good, but something you genuinely enjoy. You know, golf is great, but if you hate it, don't force it. You want to be around like-minded people, and I mean in a positive way. Some retirees, they find that they love to volunteer their time and give back, while others, they'll mentor younger professionals. And some start businesses, not because they need the money, but because they like that challenge. And it's all about finding your purpose, a reason to get out of bed in the morning. Number 3 is the unexpected challenges. Now, there are some things about retirement that nobody warns you about until it's too late. You plan for the money, you plan for the travel, and you even plan for the fun things. But what about the things that you didn't see coming? These are the things that make retirement a lot harder than it needs to be. And these fall into just 3 categories. Now here they are. Number 1 is loneliness. So when you're working, you're interacting with people every single day. You have coworkers, you have clients, etc. It's automatic. You don't even need to think about it. But when you retire, suddenly your world gets a lot quieter and a lot smaller. So those casual conversations and interactions, they just don't happen as often as they used to. And sometimes friends, they'll move away. Friends have memory-related issues or health-related issues. But the reality is, many friends will also pass away. It happens. So making friends in your 60s and 70s, it's definitely not as easy as when you were younger. And when you get older, our world usually gets smaller. It doesn't get bigger. So if you don't actively plan and find ways to stay social, retirement can feel isolating. Now, the happiest retirees that I've ever met in my life, they plan their social life just as much as they're planning their finances. And many who have moved here have not only found great weather year-round, but they also stay outdoors, enjoying the activities year-round. They're not hibernating. They get involved in local clubs, in faith groups, or social organizations. And some people, they've moved to a community where social activities, they're actually just built right in. But if you're in the right place, you don't have to worry about that. And number 2 on this list is the family expectations. Now, a lot of retirees, they expect to spend their retirement surrounded by grandkids, having big family dinners, or maybe even babysitting regularly. But the reality, it's often pretty different. Our adult kids, they have busy lives. They love you, but they're juggling their careers, their kids, and their own responsibilities. They may not always have the time for that weekly visit. This is the reality. And this is why I tell people retirement should be about you first. Don't forget that. Love your family, but don't lose base on your entire retirement plan around your family and others. Life happens. People move on. So make sure that you have a plan that works for you, whether they're around or not. Number 3 on the list is, should you downsize or not? Now, like I mentioned earlier, some sell too soon while others wait too long. So if you plan to downsize, many times over and over, do it early. Because if you wait for the light bulb to go off and the bell to ring, you're not going to hear it. It's not going to tell you when it's time to sell, right? You have to figure that out for yourself. Look, real estate is a huge part of retirement, and it's not just the house. It's the lifestyle, whether that's good or bad. Now, I've seen some retirees who sold their homes without thinking about the relocation all the way through. And I've also seen others who've held on too long, and they got crushed by property taxes and upkeep. Real estate should be part of your retirement plan from the start, not something that you figure out later on. Otherwise, if you wait too long, you're forcing your family into making that decision for you. And sometimes that timing, it's too late. So if you're not sure, talk to somebody who knows the market and can help you in the right direction and help you with the timing as well. Consider all of your options carefully. Don't just do this fast. Condos, they sound great until you realize, oh my gosh, these HOA fees are nuts. In retirement communities, they sound perfect until you realize the amenities aren't what they promised in the community, and it's not like the glossy brochures at all. It happens every single day, and I see this happen every single day, so I don't want you to have these mistakes. We've had many people who thought that Florida was their retirement, and that was the only option for their retirement. And they made that move only a few years later to move back out of Florida. It happens. Many have also found the land of pleasant living in some of those alternative areas that I've talked about here on this channel. Now, if you decide to stay put, make sure your current home is where you can comfortably age in place. You want to think about single level, very low maintenance, in a location where you've got doctors and hospitals and everything that you need that's going to be close by. The good, the bad, and the unexpected. Look, retirement, it's not just about the money, it's about your life. So remember, nobody's going to hand you this glossy retirement handbook of how to, right? Nobody's going to tell you what to expect until it's too late. That's when you figure stuff out. And look, there are places that you can retire affordably with great year-round weather, lower taxes, lower property taxes, and can provide you with a happy retirement lifestyle. Not just a retirement, but happy retirement lifestyle. But just realize that you're going to need to do your due diligence. Now, I'm not talking about your research online. I'm not talking about a Google search, guys, because I've seen this trap that many people make. They do all their research online about something that somebody else said. So if you're trying to do it that way, you're not going to get all the information that you must have to actually make a wise decision. And that's the trap that I've seen many people fall into when they're trying to search online. So it's not a one size fits all. You know, what works for one, it doesn't work for everybody. Because the internet, again, won't answer all the questions. You need to see it, you need to feel it, you need to touch it. Now, I'm not saying this is for everyone, but my team has helped close to 3,000 people move to the Myrtle Beach, South Carolina area. And if this is something that you want to explore, I truly appreciate your consideration. Just give my team a call at 843-839-9870. I know you have questions, we have answers. Conway, Murrells Inlet, Pawleys Island, North Myrtle, Loris, Longs, Myrtle Beach, and the entire Grand Strand for 65 miles of beaches. So wherever you are and whatever you're doing, I hope you're having a fantastic day. And if you subscribe, I'm going to see you in the next video. So take care.